Hey, I'm Chris, and today we're going to go over a short how-to video on how to install a dishwasher. Today we bought a new Whirlpool dishwasher to replace our other one, which was having some draining issues. So we're going to go over also how to correct some of that too. We have our new Whirlpool dishwasher, and we're getting ready to install it here. Being that we did have another one previous to this, we do have the other connections, and so we're going to reuse some of those and get it all connected back in there. The first step that we're going to have is to run the electrical wiring in through and connect that. Okay, so the tools that are going to be recommended and needed in order to change out your dishwasher and install it will be these ones here. So first we have a Phillips screwdriver, and that's going to be mainly used for wiring and for taking off panels up front. We have a flathead screwdriver for our particular dishwasher. We use to take off some facing panels in order to get to the electrical box. In order to open the electrical box, we needed one of these torque screwdriver heads, so we're just using a hand screwdriver instead of a socket at that point. We also need pliers to tighten and loosen some different joints. And then lastly, we had a wrench in order to tighten and loosen some of the drain hose or the water supply connecting points. So the first step we're going to do today is we're going to start off by rotating the dishwasher back onto its back side. The reason we have to do that is because we have to get to this front panel right here. So we need to take off the front panel, and that's going to be done by using a flathead screwdriver. We're just going to turn this to the left. It's going to be half of a turn or a quarter turn, and then that's going to pop that right off. We come over to the other side and do the same thing. So we're going to take both those off. That allows us to remove this faceplate right here at the very bottom, and that gives us entry access to the electrical box right here. Alright, the next portion we're going to do, you're going to need a star tip screwdriver. So we have that. We just got out of our kit out there, and you have to attach it to, or loosen. You're going to have to loosen the screw that's here on the other side in order to open up the electrical box. So you can either leave that on there, it does come off the top, or you can just kind of leave it on by the portions that are left there. The next thing we're going to do is, we just bought over at the store, we got a standard 8-foot electrical cord here for appliances. So we'll attach this time to the dishwasher. So what you're going to do is you're just going to make sure that all three of these wires are good, nothing is wrong with them, just to make sure that there wasn't any damage from the store or anything. And after you have that, then you're just going to run it through the back. Will have a hole right here, so you just run your wiring through the back. Alright, so the last part we're going to do for this electrical portion here is you're going to need to make sure that you have some wire caps to put the wiring together. So you're just going to match the like wires. So we have a white one that's coming out of our wall outlet. So you just put those two together. You can do some initial twisting on your own just to try and make sure they stay together. And then you're going to put your cap on. And then twist it all the way down until it's tight. Then we have another black wire. We're going to do the same on that one. So you can do an initial twist on your own. Do make sure that you do not have this plugged in. So you just tighten that down all the way. You're going to pull your cord back down. And the last one that we've got here is we have a green bolt with a washer on it. And that just takes a regular Phillips screwdriver. So you have our one last green wire. So your green wire is going to go to your green bolt, and you're just going to sit that flat there. So we have this washer that'll clamp it down. So we just want to make sure that the wire stays in place. Then we'll start putting our screw in. So you can pre-tighten your screw here a bit, and then we can lift up our plate here and slide the grounding wire in. So it's in place, and then after it's in place, then we can finish tightening our grounding screw. So that has everything in place. We have the black wire, the white wire, and now our grounding screw is in place. So you'll just want to tuck these down so that when we put the box top on, it'll fit. So again, you have your two notches right here that are going to go in the holes on the side. And then you just fold that down, and you want to make sure that all your wires are going to be inside, and that none of them are going to fall under that cover, so when you tighten it down, you're not cutting into any wires. So that's it for the electrical portion here. Now our electrical wire is good to go, so we'll just route this to the back. We'll turn it back up top, and then another thing that we have to watch is on this particular model here, we have the drain hose. So on the side here they have the drain hose, which is actually, they have one that's attached to the washer down below, and then it wraps up towards the side, and then it also comes with another hose here. And so all you do is feed it right into the rubber joint here, and you won't need any other tape. You can use tape. It's definitely a good thing to make sure that no water comes out of the joint or anything, but you can just hand feed it in there, and where it has that rubber joint, you don't need it, but it is recommended to use that. Next portion we're going to be doing here is we're going to hook up the dishwasher connectors. So this is just the regular water underneath the sink for your water source, in order to get water to your dishwasher. So we purchased this just from Lowe's. It wasn't very much, and this particular set for the hose actually has a couple different hookups. So on one side we have just a regular spinning clamp here, and then the two different things that we're going to be looking at for dishwashers is some of them are going to have the hookup with this particular hose right here, and others are going to be this clamp. So for the one that we're working on today, we actually have this as opposed to the other one. We were looking at this connection. So the next thing we're going to be covering here is, with the kit came this elbow joint, which is what we had talked about earlier. This is the one that we need to use for our dishwasher, as opposed to this joint that also came in the kit. So we've already applied that to our hose. We just tightened it down all the way, and the hose has already been connected inside, but I'll show you that as well. So now that we have that, and we make sure that the O-ring on the inside is still okay, it's not cracked or anything, and we're going to apply it to our drain station down here, which is our blue center right here. And we're going to hand tighten this as much as possible, and then we'll go back in with some pliers and finish tightening that off as much as possible. And again, you want to use the tape here to prevent any leaks. Okay, so we're almost done with the back of the dishwasher area here. So what we're going to finish up doing here is I'm going to plug it in. So our plug-in is just directly behind it. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take our drain hose here, and I'm going to put it through the hose that we had our water source hose through. So I'm going to put it through that same hole, and I'm going to start feeding it back into the cabinet area. Alright, so we're getting ready to slide it back in. So a couple of things that I want to cover here is we want to make sure this came with its own insulation, as most of them should. So they do have little hooks most of the time on the sides and some little holes in order to make sure the insulation is tight to it. So I've already plugged that hole, and I've connected the insulation to the actual side of the dishwasher. And that's on both sides, and sometimes you get some on top as well. Now there is also some perforations on top for the insulation here, to where you could pull that out if you needed to on top. Also, just to make sure that it'll actually fit into the designated area appropriately, most of the time you have adjustable feet down here for the dishwasher. So if it's too high or if it's too low, then we need to make sure that we're adjusting the feet here. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. You can either adjust it using the top here with a little wrench or socket, or you take the bottom here and do it with a wrench or socket on the bottom as well. So they definitely take different sizes, but you can do that either way. So as we're pushing this in here, we definitely want to have, before this step, made sure that our dishwasher is small enough or meets the specifications to fit into the hole appropriately. So we've already measured ours, so what we're going to do is we're going to start gently, gradually pushing it in, and we're going to have to be conscious of the insulation here to make sure that it still stays intact. So you want to feed that in. Alright, and then something else we want to make sure, as we did just a little bit previous to this, is we made sure that all the cords were out of the way before we fed it in there, because we don't want them being pinched off or cut at any point, because we don't want the wires to get cut so you have loose wiring in there or anything. So make sure that's all out of the way and everything, scoot it back in. Then most of these kits are going to come with an item to connect them up to your countertop so it doesn't come out and it doesn't come loose at all. So we'll do that at a later time, but we have it all inside now, so we're going to go under the sink here and take care of the other portions. So the two hoses that we're looking at right now is we're going to first be looking at our actual water source hose, and we already have that hooked up to its spot right here, again using that tape so that the water seal is a lot better. And so we have our hose turned in the off position right now, as it should be whenever you're hooking or unhooking it, otherwise you're going to get a lot of extra water out there. So it's in the off position right now, so we can rotate it to the on position. I'm going to leave it off right now until I get my drain hose set up, but you just rotate it over and that'll get it right in place. So I'm going to start pulling out the extra drain hose that's needed. And for our sink disposal, we actually have the InSinkerator. So we bought a newer one a while back, and it actually has a lot lower decibel level, and it chews up the food, and it can actually go through some bones. Has a lot more power, but it's a lot quieter, and it's been a great tool here. So you'll see that we have the tape for the pipe here, and this is just for the regular drain hose for this sink. And then right up above it, we have this little nozzle right here, and that's what we're going to connect our actual drain hose to. But we just want to make sure the tape is there, and you can also just push it on there, but again, it is more recommended to put the tape there. So that's the complete setup for this. We have our drain hose, which is going into our sink disposal and will then run into the plumbing. And then we also have our actual water line here. So you do want to test your dishwasher to make sure that it's actually draining appropriately and it is getting water with no leaks. So you want to hook that up previous to pushing it in like we did, and you want to turn the water on and just make sure that that hose isn't actually leaking. And after that, then we can start doing dishes. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to answer them. Just have a good day. DIY with Chris, giving you the tools to do it yourself.